It's back-to-back top 10 wins for Alex Eala. What a fabulous week she's having. A fabulous month on the grass as well. That is
3 days, 3 elite players, 3 straight set victories. And now the tennis world is asking a question nobody expected to ask this week. There is a moment in Berlin, just seconds before a serve, where a 19-year-old girl stands completely still. And if you didn't know any better, you would think nothing important was happening at all. But everything was about to change. And nobody in that stadium, not the commentators, not the fans, not even her own team, fully understood yet what they were watching unfold in real time. Because what happened next would force an entire sport to ask one uncomfortable question. How is this possible? And more importantly, who is going to stop her? Because right now nobody can answer that, and by the end of this story neither will you. Her name is Alex. Remember that name because in a few days it will be impossible to avoid. But to understand what happened in Berlin, you have to go back to the moment nobody was paying attention. The quiet, almost forgettable moment when Alex walked into the tournament as a wild card, which in tennis is basically a polite way of saying, we don't expect much from you. Just enjoy the experience. Wild cards are supposed to lose early. Wild cards are supposed to take a photo with the trophy from a respectful distance, shake hands, and fly home before the second week even starts. That is the script. That is what was supposed to happen. Most players who receive a wild card treat it exactly like that. A bonus round, a chance to gain experience before the real pressure of Wimbledon arrives, nothing more. Nobody told Alex that. Round 1, she walks onto the court against Donna Vekic, the reigning Queen's Club champion, the expected favorite, the player nobody thought a wild card was supposed to beat. Alex won, clean, convincing, and for a moment people shrugged it off. Upsets happen, one bad day, nothing to see here, move along. That's the story everyone needed to believe, because the alternative was too unsettling to consider this early in the tournament. But then came round 2, and this is where the story stops being explainable, because waiting for her on the other side of the net was Elina Svitolina. If you don't follow tennis closely, here's what you need to know. Svitolina is not just good, she is terrifying. A former Wimbledon champion, a serve that has ended careers of momentum in under an hour, the kind of player who doesn't just beat opponents, she erases them, point by point, until there's nothing left to fight with. Players who face Svitolina on grass usually walk off court looking like they just survived something rather than competed in something. So when Alex walked onto that court, the assumption, the quiet, almost cruel assumption everyone carried with them, was that this was where the fairy tale ends. This was the wall. This was the moment reality stepped in and reminded everyone that wild cards don't get to keep winning. Except, Alex didn't just survive Svitolina's serve. She read it. She broke it down point by point like she was solving a puzzle the rest of the tour hadn't even noticed had a solution. Straight sets. 2 sets. Done. Think about what that actually requires for a second. Svitolina's serve isn't just fast, it's disorienting. It arrives at angles most players never train for, and the only way to survive it is to guess early and guess right. Over and over, point after point, without a single lapse in concentration, because one lapse is usually all she needs. Alex didn't guess right once. She guessed right enough times to win 2 entire sets against one of the most lethal servers the sport has produced in years. And in that exact moment, something shifted. Not just in the stadium, but across the entire tennis world. Phones started lighting up. Group chats exploded. Commentators stopped using the word surprise and started searching for a different word, because surprise didn't feel accurate anymore, and nobody quite had the new word yet. This is the part where most stories would tell you the hard part was over. This is the part where you'd expect the universe to ease up just a little, give the young player a breather, a softer opponent, a moment to exhale. That is not what happened. Because next standing across the net was Elina Svitolina. And if Svitolina is a storm, Svitolina is something far more dangerous in a different way. She is patience weaponized. She doesn't overpower you. She outlasts you, She turns matches into mental wars where every single point becomes a tiny interrogation. Are you focused? Are you tired yet? Are you about to make a mistake? And she waits and waits until you do. For a player riding the emotional high of the biggest win of her career, this was supposed to be the trap. The classic letdown match, the one where the emotional tank runs empty and the older, smarter, more experienced opponent simply waits for the collapse. Everyone watching braced for it. The collapse never came. Instead, something even stranger happened. Alex got calmer. Not louder, not more aggressive. Calmer. Watch a young player face that kind of suffocating pressure for the first time, and you usually see the cracks early. A rushed shot here, an impatient error there. Small signs that the legs are tired and the mind is louder than it should be. None of that showed up. She slowed the rallies down when she needed to. She absorbed the pressure instead of cracking under it. She played like someone who had already decided, somewhere deep inside, that this wasn't going to be the match where the story ends. And when the final point landed, when the third consecutive elite scalp had been claimed, the realization hit everyone at the exact same time, like a wave crashing over the entire tennis community all at once. This isn't luck. Luck doesn't happen 3 times in a row against 3 completely different styles of world-class opponents. Luck doesn't explain a teenager solving a power player, then a counterpuncher, then a grinder, back to back to back, in the span of a single week. So if it's not luck, what is it? That question is the one that should be sitting in your chest right now, because it's the same question that's currently sitting inside every locker room left in that tournament. But here's the part nobody is talking about. The wins themselves are impressive. The way she won them is even more important. And this is where the story becomes uncomfortable for the rest of the tour. What is it? What is actually happening here? Here's the uncomfortable answer nobody wants to say out loud yet. She might just be better than everyone realized. Not good for a wild card. Not impressive for her age. Just better. Right now. In this moment. Watch the way she moves between points if you ever get the chance. Because this is where the real story is hiding. Not in the highlight reel winners, but in the in-between moments. The walk back to the baseline after a mistake. The way her shoulders stay level. The way her eyes don't flicker with panic the way they do for players who are simply hoping to hang on. Towel, bounce the ball twice, breathe, reset. The same routine after a winner as after an error. No visible difference, no crack in the rhythm. That is not the body language of someone who's surprised to be there. That is the body language of someone who expected this all along and is simply waiting for the rest of the world to catch up to what she already knew about herself. Because here's the thing about talent. Talent alone has never been enough at this level. Hundreds of insanely talented players exist in the lower rankings of professional tennis. Players with beautiful strokes and electric athleticism who never break through, because talent without belief just sits there, untouched, like a locked door with no key. What changes everything, what flips a promising player into a genuine threat, is the moment they stop hoping they belong and start knowing it. Coaches talk about this shift constantly, almost obsessively, because it's the one variable that can't be drilled on a practice court. You can build a serve in a gym. You can build footwork on a treadmill. You cannot build belief that way. It has to be earned, usually the hard way, usually against someone who was supposed to end your run. And something about this week, something about these 3 matches, something about Berlin specifically, seems to have handed Alex that key. You can almost pinpoint the moment it happened. It wasn't after beating Vekic. That could still be dismissed as a hot start. It wasn't even right after Rybakina. Adrenaline can carry anyone through one big match. It was somewhere in the middle of the Svitolina match, somewhere around the point where most young players would have started feeling the walls close in. And instead, Alex seemed to expand into the moment instead of shrinking from it. That's the part that should make every remaining player in this tournament nervous. Because there's a particular kind of danger in an athlete who stops playing not to lose and starts playing to win. The calculations change, the risk tolerance changes, and suddenly opponents aren't just facing a skill set, they're facing a mindset. And mindsets are far harder to solve than forehands. You can scout a forehand. You can prepare for a serve pattern. You cannot scout belief, and that's exactly the problem every remaining player in this draw now has to solve in a matter of days, not weeks. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting, where the stakes quietly multiply without anyone announcing it. This is happening right before Wimbledon, not months before, not even weeks before. Days before the most prestigious tournament in tennis, the one event every single player circles on their calendar the moment the season begins. The one stage where legacies are built and remembered for decades. And grass, more than any other surface, rewards exactly the qualities Alex has been showing all week. Quick decision-making, early ball striking, fearless court positioning, the willingness to take a risk at the exact moment everyone else hesitates. These aren't accidental strengths that happen to show up this week. These are surface-specific weapons, and she's been sharpening them in front of the entire tennis world at the worst possible time for everyone else, and the best possible time for her. Grass punishes hesitation in a way clay never does. There's no time to think twice on grass. No time to grind out a 30-shot rally and hope the other player blinks first. The points are short, sharp, and unforgiving, which means the player who decides fastest usually wins. And right now, in Berlin, Alex has been deciding faster than 3 of the best players in the world. A few weeks ago, if you'd said Alex could make a deep run at Wimbledon, that statement would have been met with polite nods and quiet skepticism. A week ago, Wimbledon contenders weren't worried about Alex. After Berlin, they may have no choice. That shift, from polite skepticism to genuine fear, happened in the span of one single week. Let that sink in for a second, because shifts like that almost never happen this fast in professional sports. And when they do, they tend to mark the beginning of something much bigger than a single tournament. But there's a layer to this story that goes beyond rankings, beyond brackets, beyond who beats who next. Somewhere far from that stadium in Berlin, in homes and gyms and tiny tennis courts across the Philippines, kids are staying up late watching this unfold. Watching someone who looks like them, who comes from where they come from, beating the players they only ever expected to see on a screen. That is a different kind of impact. The kind that doesn't show up in a box score. The kind that doesn't fade when the tournament ends. It plants something. It tells an entire generation of young athletes that the gap between watching greatness and becoming greatness might be smaller than they were told. Think about what that does to a 10-year-old kid hitting balls against a cracked wall somewhere, dreaming about a stage that always felt impossibly far away. That distance just got shorter in real time on live television for an entire country to witness at once. That's the part of this story that outlives the scoreline, win or lose from here. And yet, the story is not finished. That's the part you need to sit with. As impressive as this run has been, the semifinal is still ahead, untouched, unwritten, waiting. Another opponent stands between Alex and a final that, a week ago, would have sounded almost absurd to even mention out loud. And here's the uncomfortable truth about momentum in sports. It is the most powerful force in the world right up until the exact moment it isn't. Every great run has felt unstoppable right before it ended. Every nobody can stop her headline has, at some point in sports history, eventually met a player who could. Sports history is full of these stories. The breakout week that everyone assumed was the beginning of a dynasty, only for the very next match to quietly close the door. And nobody knows in the moment which version of the story they're watching, the dynasty or the peak, until it's already over. So the real question, the one nobody can answer yet, the one that's going to hang over the rest of this tournament like static in the air, is simple. Is this the beginning of a legitimate takeover of women's tennis? Or is this the most spectacular ceiling moment of a young career? The kind people will look back on fondly without it ever fully becoming something bigger. Nobody knows. Not the analysts. Not the commentators. Not even perhaps Alex herself. And honestly, that uncertainty is exactly why you can't look away from this story, because every single match from here forward carries the weight of an answer nobody has yet. But here's what we do know. What's already undeniable regardless of what happens in the next match. She has beaten a Queen's Club champion. She has beaten a former Wimbledon champion. She has beaten one of the most informed players on the entire tour. 3 matches, Three completely different puzzles. Three solutions. That is not an accident. That is not a streak of luck. And at a certain point, continuing to call it a surprise says more about our expectations than it does about her ability. Somewhere right now, an opponent is sitting in a hotel room in Berlin watching replays of all three of those matches, trying to find the one weakness nobody else could find, the one crack in the armor that's been invisible for an entire week. Maybe they'll find it. Maybe they won't. That's the part nobody can predict, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes the next match must-watch television. So as Berlin moves toward its final rounds, as the pressure climbs and the stakes multiply and the whole tennis world leans forward just a little bit more, remember this exact moment. Remember the stillness right before that very first serve against Vekic. Because somewhere in that silence, before anyone knew what was coming, a story had already begun writing itself. One that nobody saw coming. One that's still being written right now in real time, with the ending still completely unknown. And that's the part that should keep you watching. Not just this match, but every single one that follows. Because you are not watching the end of a story right now. You are watching the exact middle of it. The part where anything is still possible. The part most people only recognize as historic once it's already over. And whatever happens next, whether this becomes the tournament that changes everything or simply the moment we all remember as the start of something even bigger, one thing is already certain. The rankings still say Alex is chasing the world's best players. Berlin is starting to suggest the world's best players may soon be chasing her. So when the semifinal arrives, and it will arrive faster than anyone is ready for, watch closely, because somewhere in that match is the next chapter of a story that already refuses to behave the way anyone expected. And if history has taught us anything about moments like this one, it's that the players who make you ask who can stop her rarely stay that way for long. They either fade quietly back into the pack, forgotten by the time the next tournament begins, or they become the answer to the very question everyone was asking about them in the first place. Right now, in Berlin, on grass that has chewed up bigger names and bigger reputations before her, Alex is standing right at that fork in the road. And nobody, not the experts, not the fans, not even the players standing across the net from her, knows yet which version of this story they're about to get. That's the part that should sit with you long after this video ends. Not the scoreline, not the bracket, the not knowing. Because somewhere between a wildcard entry and a semifinal nobody saw coming, a teenager from the Philippines turned an entire sport's assumptions upside down in the span of a single week. And whatever happens next, that part of the story can never be undone. Part of the story can never be undone.